Hanny Time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Sandegriff.
And a pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome to Hanny Time 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Sandegriff along with Mario Jerez, Jacob Beck, as we are on a hump day edition of Hanny Time. That means Scott Rabelais will be with us later on in this hour, about 15 minutes. And at the bottom of the hour, we'll do first class, second class, no class. We're going a little bit off the grid from your major sports here today for one of these things, but think that you'll like it. What we didn't like was the game last night between the Pelicans and the Warriors. Did you stay up late? We had a meeting this morning. Mario comes in. He's all in his rumpled up clothes and bleary eyed, and walks in and says, "Man, those West Coast games are killing me." I'll be honest with you. There are games where I'll watch for a quarter, watch for a half. This one had my attention from the jump all the way to the final buzzer. Watch the whole thing because, well, it was playoff intensity basketball for the Pelicans and the Warriors last night. Even though Golden State is a defending champion, they're very much in a dogfight for playoff seeding. And, of course, the Pelicans are right in there with them along with a half a dozen other teams. And early on, this looked really good. The Pels came out with a tremendous amount of intensity, and Golden State didn't. Golden State was very loose with the ball. They turned the ball over 14 times in the first half. That led to 11 New Orleans points. You had a couple of early threes from Herb Jones, and when you look at it, he's like, man, if Herb Jones is hitting threes, Brandon Ingram's playing like that, Trey Murphy's playing like that, New Orleans got a shot tonight. And you knew they had to build a big lead because you knew Golden State at some point was going to come back at them. They're just going to miss shots, right? The whole game. Very, very seldom. It's the Splash Brothers, for crying out loud, okay? And New Orleans does. They build what would end up being a 17-point lead. But what happened late in the first half, late in the second quarter, sort of changed the emotions of the game. And love him or hate him, this was Draymond Green starting his mess again. All right. So what you had was Brandon Ingram it had a clean path to the goal. They're out ahead of the pack, and Green's running with him pretty much stride for stride. Green, who is considerably thicker than Ingram, gives him a shoulder. He has no intention of going for the ball. This is in no way a basketball play. This is a hockey check, okay, to make sure Ingram doesn't get to the goal. Okay, that's a hard foul. No problem with that. The officials did exactly what they were supposed to do. When Ingram goes back up in his face, they issue the double technical, but then they look at the replay, and Green gets upgraded to a flagrant one, which is what he should have done because this was a hockey check. This was not a basketball play. By the way, this was his 17th technical of the season, so he gets one more, and he's got another one-game vacation. And that would be significant just a few minutes later. So everybody's chirping. Again, this is playoff atmosphere. This is why I'm very concerned if Zion Williamson gets back into the fray in a week. He's going to get hurt because this is how they're playing now. Ain't no load management. Load management is something that happened back on Valentine's Day. Everybody's playing for keeps now. Everybody that's still in contention is playing for keeps anyway. And so about just a couple of minutes later, you have a play in which Green goes to the ground on top of Herb Jones. I'm going to do as best I can to describe this on radio. It's a lot more effective if you see it, but so if if you didn't see it last night, I'll try as best I can. Jones is on the ground, and Green is going to the ground, at which point he kicks Herb Jones in the head. Now, whether he kicked Herb Jones in the head on purpose or not is up for anybody's debate. But he kicked Herb Jones in the head. That is not in dispute. Okay, if you watch the replay, his foot hits Herb Jones's head. Was it his brain that told his leg to kick out and kick Herb Jones in the head, or did he just fall that way? I'll leave that up to you to decide. I know what I think because I know what happened next. And what happened next was that in the course of falling to the ground, Draymond Green laid his leg over Herb Jones's head in the effort to get up, and he didn't kick him again, but you ever been on top of a pile? I mean, if you ever played football, you know what this is. You can get off the pile in a whole lot of different ways. You can get off the pile in a manner in which you are not trying to engage with the person you are on top of or underneath, or you can get off of the pile in a very aggressive manner. Guess which one Draymond Green did? Steve Kerr, after the game, said that Draymond willed us to victory tonight. His frustration early with the way we were playing, mad at the world, yelling at everybody, their bench, me, and frankly, we all deserved it. Let me tell you what else Draymond Green deserved. He deserved to get thrown out of the game at that point. Hard check on Brandon Ingram, I got no problem, okay? It's a hard foul. It's a playoff foul. Kurt Rambis would have been proud. Upgraded after they looked at it to a flagrant one. We're fine. Now you come over just a few minutes later, and Draymond Green ain't shut up yet. He doesn't. That's his game. I even respect it, okay, because it works for them. If that's what gets them going is Draymond Green never shuts his mouth. As long as he doesn't break the rules, I'm fine with it. Everybody's different, okay? Brandon Ingram doesn't play like Draymond Green does from a vocal standpoint. More of a quiet guy. That's why when he goes back up in Draymond Green's face, well, everything escalates because Ingram just doesn't do that very much. And you could tell he was getting to him. And Green knew it. And so he went back at him, and he kicked Herb Jones in the head. And Herb Jones was, about ready to get up, and they were getting ready to go. At that point, with those two plays, Green's got to go. I mean, I thought it was obvious. I thought he was gone. But no, he stayed in the game. Steve Kerr thinks that that's why the Golden State Warriors won the game. I do not. I could look at Steph Curry's 39 points because, Steph Curry's the best shooter that's ever lived, and he's going to Hall of Fame, and he made more than half of his three-pointers last night, and he had 39 points, and that's really good. And I could say, well, that's why they won the game if I hadn't watched the game. And I could say that Klay Thompson, who set a personal best number of threes in a season, no small accomplishment there. Thompson's one of the greatest shooters ever, and he had 5 threes last night, and I could say that's the reason that they won the game. And those things, Golden State doesn't win the game without those things happening. I get it. But where Golden State won the game was by 2 players coming off the bench to make massive contributions, particularly in the second half. And the first one is Kevon Looney. Looney comes off the bench and gets 8 rebounds, but 6 of them were on offense. Let me tell you what happened with those offensive rebounds. These were the first 4 of the second half. The first one, he goes back up and he gets 2 free throws. The second one, offensive rebound he kicks it out to Steph Curry, who hit a 3. The third one he kicks out to Steph Curry, who hit a 3. And then the fourth one, which I don't even think they gave him credit for an offensive rebound as much as a tip. He tipped it to Steph Curry, who amazingly was covered. He kicks it to Jordan Poole, and Jordan Poole hits a 3. And that's the other reason that the Warriors won this game, was because going to the fourth quarter, down 4, Kevon Looney continued to get offensive rebounds, and Jordan Poole continued to score. In fact, Poole would get 13 of his 21 points in the fourth quarter. Pelicans didn't get very much out of their bench last night. In fact, at one point, Golden State gave Larry Nance 2 wide-open threes because they couldn't get anything else on those possessions. And Larry Nance is a very good player, but he is not a three-point shooter. And that's when they needed buckets the most. And Golden State dared him to shoot, and he did, and he missed. And I'm not. This is not an indictment on Larry Nance. Larry Nance is a terrific player. He's been a really good player for the Pelicans, and he's a key part to what they do, particularly in the fourth quarter of games where they are more apt to sub him for Jonas. But what Golden State got out of their bench last night, in addition to having Steph Curry, one of the greatest players ever, is Kayvon Looney coming off the bench to get 8 rebounds, 6 of them offensive rebounds. 4 of those rebounds it turned into threes when the momentum was clearly changing from New Orleans to Golden State. And Jordan Poole comes off the bench, and he shoots 8 for 15 and gets 13 of his 21 in the fourth quarter. That's how a 4-point lead turns into an 11-point loss. Willie Green after the game.
I thought our guys did a great job starting the game and having control of the game in the first half, and then the second half kind of fell apart for us. So tough loss, but we'll regroup. We'll go back, watch some film, and get ready for Denver.
Let me be Captain Obvious here. Golden State's better than New Orleans by quite a margin. Their record may not suggest it. It's by quite a margin. But when everybody plays, Golden State is significantly better than New Orleans. And I'm saying everybody but Zion, okay? I don't mean some of those games in the middle of the season. I'm talking about when Golden State wants to play and everybody's playing, they're still one of the best 2 or 3 teams in basketball because they got those guys that can shoot. Everybody knows their roles, and they've got some guys coming off the bench that do what those guys did last night. It's past just Curry and Thompson, or Curry, Thompson, and Green. They played some of the stickiest defense last night that you will ever see. If your impression is Golden State is a finesse team that just relies on nothing but three-point shooting, please go watch them play because there's a lot more to them than that. They turned New Orleans over 17 times last night, and there were possessions where the Pels simply could not get off a shot. They were that intense. This is how the basketball goes for the rest of the year. This is why we pay attention to the NBA in March and April and through the playoffs, because this is the type of high-level basketball. They play this way all the time. We might watch more in January. I watch in January, but like I tell Jimmy out all the time, I don't count, okay? I'm a sports junkie, so I'm going to watch. But the casual fan, if you watched last night's game, if you like basketball, you would have liked that. Everything except for the L, of course. LSU baseball with an easy win last night, 17-5. Another run rule job over Grambling. This one got out of hand in the first 3 innings. LSU got a good start out of Christian Little, not a good run out of Blake Money. The rest of the bullpen was fine because LSU hammered out 17 runs on 16 hits. Cade Beloso, 2 more hits and 4 more runs batted in to run his average up to 538. There's been a lot of time tomorrow because Tennessee's coming in. The new Baseball at the Box podcast has just been posted, presented by Napa Auto Parts, your locally owned Napa Auto Parts store. This is a full preview of LSU and Tennessee, but we're going to do a lot more of that tomorrow. Tomorrow's game is, not maybe, it is the top pitching matchup in the country with the top 2 college pitchers that will come off the board in the draft, Paul Skeens and Chase Dolander, tomorrow night on the bump for their respective schools. Skeens is off to a much better start. Dolander is going to be a top 5 pick. So LSU with an easy win last night over Grambling, 17-5. We'll take a break, come back. Scott Rabelais from The Advocate joins us. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
You know, and for the games this weekend, we'll be at the Barstool Sportsbook at LaBerge, Baton Rouge. You know, I love the screens out there because when you get those gigantic screens, most of the time there's a little separators, there's the lines in between them. We're talking about the biggest clear screen that you're going to see in any sports book anywhere outside of Las Vegas. Terrific menu on tap at the Barstool Sportsbook, whether it's, just little samplers like the French fried pretzels or the Cajun Country Boudin roll-ups or just, chicken wings or burgers all the way up to the grilled T-bone steaks if you want a big meal in there, and over 2 dozen beers on tap. Lots of kiosks and windows. You're never going to wait in line long to get your action, and plenty of betting options are available for you at the Barstool Sportsbook inside of LaBerge for the final college basketball games of the season, men's and women's, plus LSU baseball on the big screens as well. The Barstool Sportsbook at LaBerge. Have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-796-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
At Auctioner, We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TV to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect.
Jimmy out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson. That's Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny Time. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
So I have a hard time, anything but LSU women's basketball being in first class this week, or not mentioning them at the beginning of first class. The season as a whole has been nothing short of miraculous if you look at where they came from to where they were in less than 2 years. Kim Mulkey was hired, over 2 calendar years ago. And to go from irrelevant and with a losing record to the Final Four, there's just not very many coaches that can pull off what she did in any sport. And give credit to, obviously it's a much different landscape now than it has been with the transfer portal and NIL, and I get all of that. you still, all of those tools are available to everybody, though. They're not automatic. It's just, oh, well, you've got transfer portal and NIL. You can just automatically rebuild a roster. You can't. Okay? She did. It's not something that is just handed to you and you say, okay, well, you got money. You've got a budget. You've got, a brand name. You'll get players. No, it is not automatic. And to have revived the interest in the program the way she has, there were people that asked, when she got the job, is she worth what they're paying her because of what the revenue limitations are on women's basketball. And I said at the time, I remember saying this, you have to look past just how many soft drinks and hot dogs you sell at the game and how many tickets that you sell at the game. Kim Mulkey is worth something to this program that most coaches are not outside of their title. If you're the head basketball coach at LSU or Georgia or Texas or wherever, there's a certain amount of, presence that you have. She has it outside of her title. In other words, if Kim Mulkey had decided to retire from coaching basketball 2 years ago, instead of coming to LSU, she would have still had that presence in the sport had she ever chosen to do it. She doesn't have to be the head coach at LSU to have presence. If she had decided, you know what, I want to go off the grid. I want to give something. I want to go coach high school basketball. I want to go coach in a small league where there's hardly any resources. She's still got that kind of presence. She doesn't need the title to justify it. When you put the title underneath it and you put all of these resources together, you get something really special. And she's done that, and that team has done that. And they are a 1-point favorite against Virginia Tech on Friday night. So that's first class. But I did want to go with this one. I missed this last week. I got it a little bit too late, but this was it's actually almost 2 weeks old now. But I still think it's a cool story, so I'm still going to tell it. That you have the first 4 games of the NCAA tournament in Dayton. All right. I don't know much about the budget for Fairleigh Dickinson University. All I know is it can't be very high. So they didn't have a band. Now, you've seen these games in Dayton. They're for teams that have no contact to Dayton. They fill that arena. They got to do it on just a few days' notice. So it's not like the teams can pile a bunch of people in there, and none of these teams are high seeds. So Dayton counts on Dayton to fill that arena and come up with that atmosphere. So Fairleigh Dickinson can't send the band. I don't even know if they have a band. Okay, I guess they do, but they couldn't. They don't even have a band. So Dayton's band decides just a few minutes before tip-off that they're going to learn the Fairleigh Dickinson fight song, and they played it when Fairleigh Dickinson came out. I don't know what goes into learning a musical piece for the band. I was never in the band. I got no idea. But I don't imagine that they had to do this. They just did this because they wanted to. That's why. Remember I said this when we did the first 4, said, Dayton really embraces this event. Okay, if you did this in Tulsa or in Salt Lake City or in, Orlando, it might not work as well, but Dayton really loves this event up. I thought that was cool. Stephen Miller sent me that, and I forgot about it, but I wanted to do that because I thought it was a very cool story. This is part of the tournament, okay? This is why does Dayton have it? Why not somewhere else? Things like that, and a whole bunch of other things. So that's first class. Second class. We're going to update a story that we did last September. Last September, outside of Cleveland, Ohio, 2 scumbags named Jacob Runyon and Chase Connolly, I think is his name. Kaminsky, okay. Can't even read my own writing. Jacob Runyon and Chase Kaminsky. I want to get their names right because they are true scumbags. Cheated at a fishing tournament, a very high dollar fishing tournament. This was the scene when these 2 scumbags got caught trying to cheat.
We got weights and fish!
We got weights and fish!
Get out of here! Get the out of here!
See, these two scumbags had been going around cheating at fishing tournaments for quite some time. They had won in excess of a six-figure boat, I believe. Mario, I'll let you kind of pick it up from here, because they had won thousands of dollars. They had won I think it was a six-figure boat, right?
Yes.
The boat was worth over $100,000.
That they had to give up. So at this tournament, it would have been a $30,000 prize that they would have won. So they had to give that up. And then as of yesterday, they pleaded guilty to cheating. And they had to give up their fishing boat worth $100,000 or in excess of that. And they had their fishing licenses suspended for 3 years. Kind of surprised they didn't get it taken away like permanently. But fishing license suspended 3 years as well.
I'm surprised they didn't go to jail.
Yeah, they were ready to kill those guys if you watch the video.
See, that would have been the appropriate punishment, right? Is, okay, security, go get a sandwich. Let the rest of the fishermen take care of these two clowns, okay? I've been fishing before, okay? I'm by no means an avid fisherman. I think in my adult life, probably once a year, once every 2 years, once every 3 years, very infrequently. But I know enough about fishing etiquette that if people are fishing in a certain spot, that you don't infringe upon, their spot. And I've never entered a fishing tournament in my life, nor is it likely that I ever will. But I'm smart enough to know that these people are serious, okay? These niche tournaments for things like this, I don't know much about fishing tournaments, but I know plenty about poker tournaments, okay? A lot of money on the line there. This is like catching somebody with a card up their sleeve, okay? I don't know what would have happened to these fishermen if they'd have let those other fishermen at them. I got a pretty good idea what would happen if they caught somebody with a card up their sleeve at a poker tournament. It wouldn't be pretty. So they took their fishing licenses away. They took the boat away, but they didn't send them to jail. What they should have done was just let security take about a 15-minute break. That would. So why do I say good with a chance to be great? Okay, it's good that they punished them. It would be great if, they ever showed their faces again, because I think they would get. I mean, you could see. We can't. I'm on radio, so I can't exactly. The look of terror on these two scumbags' faces. Because this could have easily been a mob mentality. I mean, it's a fishing tournament. It's not a Wells Fargo truck, okay? There's only a certain amount of security. And if this mob of fishermen had decided that they were going to inflict bodily harm on these two idiots, they could have very easily done it. So they got a little bit of their comeuppance yesterday, but not nearly enough. We got weights in fish.
We got weights in fish.
We got weights in fish. Had to actually go to the trouble to get the weights inside the fish. And, like I said, I don't know much about fishing tournaments, but they weighed way more than fish are supposed to weigh right before they almost, it would have been very ugly. We get to no class for even uglier than that, if you can imagine this. We've seen handshake lines. They're as old as sports itself, right? This is sportsmanship, okay? Even if, you feel like you got a raw deal by the officials, or if, the other team wasn't exactly sports. Everybody gets in. Unless you're the Detroit Pistons of 1989, you shake hands, or 1991, I think it was. You shake hands after the games, okay? In hockey, they only do it after the last game of a series. High schools, youth sports, you get in line, you do the little handshake, the little high five. That's good. Last week, Memphis and Bowling Green were playing in a WNIT game, and a player for Memphis named Jamira Schutz absolutely cold-cocked a player from Bowling Green named Alyssa Brett. I've been in these handshake lines before, okay, in high school, whatever. You're doing a little deal. This is the last place you ever expect to get cheap shotted like this. And this was the mother of all cheap shots. I mean, they're going through the handshake line, and all of a sudden, pop, that girl hit the floor. Now, Jamara Schutz is a fifth-year senior. So we're not talking about a suspension of the next game. She had just played her last game from Memphis. They did exactly what they should have done. They charged her with assault. Now, we've seen some pretty egregious behavior on courts before. We've seen hard fouls and things like that. And we've seen, even fights, the malice at the palace, right? How come the Pistons are always in the middle of these things? This was outside of maybe Kermit Washington on Rudy Tomjanovich. You got to YouTube that, fellas. That goes back to the 70s. But it remains the biggest cheap shot in the history of sports. YouTube it. Kermit Washington, Rudy Tomjanovich. He almost killed Tomjanovich.
It's bad. There was facial fluid.
He almost killed him. This wasn't that, okay? Because I don't imagine that Schutz can hit as hard as Kermit Washington did. But this was, at least from an intent standpoint, the biggest cheap shot I have seen since I started watching sports since Kermit Washington. She jacked her in the handshake line. Charged her with assault. Exactly what she should have gotten. All right, first class, second class, and no class. We are brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Right now, as we get to the tail end of Lent, so many great seafood options to pair your Supreme Rice with, whether it be crawfish etouffee, whether it be a seafood gumbo, whether it be a shrimp creole. So many great things that you can pair with Supreme Rice. Down in Crowley, Louisiana, and the surrounding area in southwest Louisiana, Supreme Rice has been grown, milled, and processed since the 1930s. So whether you want the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine, Supreme Rice is a perfect complement to any meal. Delicious, plus you're going to stretch your food dollar. Easy to get. Your AG food stores, your Walmarts, Walmart neighborhood stores, your Rouses, anywhere you buy rice, you can get Supreme Rice. For more information, some unique recipes, go to SupremeRice.com. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal. supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
I had to leave my parents.
Hey, it's on. Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Chris Demouy, former Tiger, talking baseball. Get you ready for LSU in Tennessee and a recap of LSU and Grambling from the box. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Baseball at the Box podcast presented by Napa is posted right now. Preview of LSU and Tennessee. Going to be a really high energy. Is that a nice way to put it? Atmosphere at the Box for the next 3 games. Let's bring in Scott Rabelais en route to Dallas, Texas for the women's Final Four. LSU and Virginia Tech on Friday. Rab, how you doing?
Charles, you've heard of the road to the Final Four? We're literally on the road to the Final Four. We're in Alexandria on our way there.
Oh, that's great. They decided it was close enough for you guys to drive. No flying.
Yeah, well, get us while you can, because next year it's in Cleveland.
Right. Yeah. That's when you definitely want that's when you want the flights. All right, let's go back to Sunday's game here for a second. I tell you before the game that LSU is going to shoot 30% from the floor. What do you tell me?
I'm telling you, I'm not surprised because they haven't been shooting the ball well from the outside, but I still think they can win because they've been playing such great defense. They held Hawaii down to 50, but Michigan to 42, and played good 66-63 against Utah, but they played good defense, especially on Pili, their forward there. So I'm thinking they can still win, but it's probably going to be a closer game than what it ended up being. I didn't think Miami would shoot the ball so badly, but wasn't a thing of beauty. But it's survive in advance time, Charles, and it's like winning in the NFL. You just do what you can, and however you move on is good enough.
Kind of as an aside, tell me about the balls themselves, because there were a few comments made, including by Kim Mulkey. A little bit bouncy, overinflated. I figured the last thing we would be talking about in the Elite Eight was a difference in basketballs. I mean, was Tom Brady there with an air pump? What's going on with the basketballs?
There's been talk in both tournaments about the ball either being too inflated, too hard, which makes it more bouncy, or maybe even the compound of the ball, what it's made of, being a problem. There was talk of it in the men's tournament as well. So, the outside shooting has not been great for a lot of teams. It certainly hasn't been great for LSU. But then, Caitlin Clark from Iowa was playing with the same ball, and she poured in 41 points in their regional finals. So, I guess it can be done.
Yes.
I think for LSU's part, I think Mulkey just is looking for a reason or something to blame, other than having their team think they can't shoot. It
boggles my mind that at this point in the season we're talking about any kind of difference in the balls. I would have just assumed that they were playing with the same basketballs they had been playing with since November, but okay.
Yeah, I know, you would think.
That would have been my thought. Okay, let's move ahead to Virginia Tech. Watched them play in the game on Monday night against Ohio State, and 2 players jump out. Number one is Elizabeth Kitley. This is a 6'6" senior center, got 121 career starts. Rab, she's a very versatile player. She can play with her back to the basket. She can play facing the basket. She's will shoot an open 3 if you leave it there. She's an elite rebounder. She's an experienced player, and I want to know who's going to guard her, because she appears to be a problem to me.
Kitley is a very good player, All-American. She was one of the finalists for one of these National Player of the Year awards that Angel Reese didn't get, and some that didn't sit too well with Kim Mulkey either. They've got a great inside-outside combination like LSU has with Angel Reese and Alexis Morris. They've got Elizabeth Kitley and Georgia Amore. So yeah, she's a really good, experienced player, 6'6". I mean, you're dealing with someone with a big height advantage on everyone that LSU has. So she's the centerpiece of what they do. A lot of their offense runs through her. And on the outside, like I said, Omori, she's got 23 pointers in the tournament so far, which is the most in the women's tournament since 2000, apparently. So a tough combination for LSU to deal with. Again, I go back to the fact that they've played exceptionally good defense. As poor as the outside shooting has been, they've been playing defense and rebounding people on an average of about 11 per game in these 4 tournament games. So they're going to have to continue to do that well in this game, because you got to figure Virginia Tech with those 2 players are going to get their points.
And I'm curious as to how they're going to. And I know that you're not privy to Kim Mulkey's film sessions, but what they're going to do with a player of that size. South Carolina had a significant size advantage on LSU, but they had it across the board. It was more than just one player. So, I mean, it's one thing to just say put LaDasia Williams on Kitley and be done with it, but when you do that, Kitley has eaten up an awful lot of single teams. I watched her do it against Ohio State the other night. So maybe you can point to a game somewhere else in the season where they've had one big that they've had to defend and what they might do with Kitley.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of, fronting and backing with her. They're very disruptive. They like to, I can see them putting LaDasia Williams, as you said, is LSU's tallest post player at 6'4", behind her, and then trying to swoop in with a Flau'jae Johnson, who is a guard, but is like 6'1", and, swooping in with her, trying to disrupt the passing lanes and that sort of thing, trying to front her. Maybe bringing in Reese, or let someone else come in and just harass her. Someone who's smaller who can get there around her legs and give her a hard time when they're trying to enter the ball to her. But it's going to be a big challenge. I mean, they're an excellent team. I would say similar, very similar, problem to what Utah presented with Philly, who was not that tall. She was listed as like 6'2", but she was really like 5'11". But this girl is legit with the height, and it's going to be one of the bigger challenges that they have faced in the tournament. Obviously, which is what you get the deeper you go.
Yeah, they're all. There's no bad teams left in this thing. There haven't been any bad teams in this tournament really since the first weekend. So you knew you were going to see somebody really good. Amore, big effort from her the other night against Ohio State, because she went out of the game. They were having problems with the press. It looked like she might be out for the rest of the game at one point. She came back and immediately tore Ohio State's press to shreds. So obviously the emotional leader for them and the primary ball handler, Georgia Amore.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Ohio State might be the more difficult team for LSU to play in the Final Four because of their press. Now, I remember what it did to LSU in the game in Baton Rouge last year when they eliminated the Tigers in the second round, when Alexis Morris wasn't playing very much because of her knee injury. But nonetheless, give them credit for the win. And but yeah, she's tremendous. I mean, she made some 3-pointers with people in her face, and to come back in the game, they look lost without her. I mean, they probably do lose if she doesn't come back in that game against Ohio State, but she does and handles the press. It's just a junior, not real tall, about like Morris, 5'6". So you're not dealing with players like Michigan who had 6-footers like across the board. It seemed, but very crafty, very skilled, a very hot shooter in the NCAA tournament, and also a problem. But I like LSU's chances of dealing with a shorter guard, trying to put someone on her again, like a taller guard like Flau'jae Johnson or somebody like that, than or a real dogged defender like Kateri Poole, who's got some size on her and is a little taller. Then I think it's a little easier for LSU to deal with than Kitley. But again, it's like LSU, as I said, with Reese and Morris. It's an inside-outside combination that's going to cause anybody problems.
Virginia Tech earned that number 1 seed. They took 2 out of 3 in the regular season from Duke, who was a 3 seed. They beat Tennessee twice, once in the regular season, once in the tournament. Sweet 16 team. They beat Ohio State, who was obviously an Elite Eight team. They beat Louisville twice, who was an Elite Eight team on the other side. They split 2 games with Miami, who was another Elite Eight team. So this is a battle-tested team in Virginia Tech. And with all of that, Rab, LSU is a 1-point favorite, even though Virginia Tech was a 1 seed, which was a surprise a little bit to me. I thought that Virginia Tech would open up probably a 2.5 point favorite. But the Tigers are the favorite here by a single point.
Me too, Charlie. I was surprised at that too. I'd expected it to be the other way, and I think it opened at 2.5. So you're saying there's one right now? I hadn't looked at.
No, it was at 1. I never saw anything other than 1. I expected it to open as Virginia Tech a 2.5 point favorite, but it opened as LSU as a 1 point favorite. I haven't seen any variation on that yet. So I was a little bit surprised that LSU was considered the favorite here.
Me too, especially the way they're scoring the ball and the way LSU has, struggled to score, especially in the last game. It was just a tough defensive game. The first in the regional semifinal against Utah. A very good team. I'm looking at the line here now. Still LSU by 2.
By 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Went to 2.
So, but I mean, I think Vegas has been pretty bullish on LSU. I remember looking before the tournament started. How would you say it? They were the fifth choice in terms of national teams to win the national championship. They had the 5th best odds. Obviously, South Carolina is a runaway favorite and has been the whole time, and deservedly so. But LSU is the 5th best odds. So LSU is a 3 seed. To me, that says Vegas sees LSU as a 2 seed in the tournament. They're the 5th best choice, and they're the 2nd choice in the Final Four in Vegas to win. Again, much longer odds than South Carolina, as you would expect. But still, that says something. What are they looking for? You tell me what you think. I think they're looking at LSU's rebounding and defense. And speed that they've been able to play with to their advantage in these games, and overcome the shooting that I think will have to come a little more consistently in this game against Virginia Tech. I don't think they can score 54 points and win this game, but it says something to you about what kind of team this LSU is, or what they have as the qualities that help them win, because they continue to have a lot of respect from Vegas, which you have to respect in terms of looking at a matchup.
And all that's great. I think that the reason that they're the 2nd favorite here is because they don't have to play South Carolina in the first game. I'll just be honest with you.
Okay.
If Iowa and LSU changed opponents for the weekend, Iowa would be the 2nd choice. But that's more about South Carolina than it is about LSU.
But Virginia Tech could have better odds to win than LSU.
They could. They could. And like I said, I was a touch surprised that the LSU was a small favorite instead of the other way around. We got about a minute or so left. I stuck around for the 2nd game on Monday night, and I was glad that I did, because I got to see Caitlin Clark for Iowa, and she is phenomenal. I mean, I'd heard so much about her, but I never actually sat down and watched her play a game. I did the other night. I picked the right one. A 40-point triple-double has never been done before in the tournament, men or women. So outside of watching LSU play, if you're going to get me to watch, excited to watch another game, give me the best player against the best team remaining on the other side. And this is definitely that. So South Carolina has looked unbeatable. Caitlin Clark has been unguardable. This will be fun to watch, I suspect, on Friday night, Rab. What say you on South Carolina and Iowa?
I think, with all respect to the LSU and Virginia Tech, this was one of the most anticipated women's semifinal games that you've had in a long time.
Hey, we'll play the matinee. That's fine. We'll serve it up.
I was not surprised this was the late game of the two. More prime time than LSU and Virginia Tech. She's tremendous. I mean, obviously South Carolina has earned their favorites role that they've had. They're undefeated again. But she can fill it up. She can be the difference maker, and I still think South Carolina will win. But it wouldn't totally shock me if she went off and they could do it. I think she's the player of the year. She's been the best player of the tournament. I think she was the player of the year, not only of Boston. And as good as Angel Reese was, not quite as good. She's averaging 27 points a game, is Caitlin Clark, and she's that X factor that's got to make you a little nervous if you're Dawn Staley, just a little bit.
And she's great, and I agree with you. She's a player of the year. The group around her has started 90 games together. That starting 5 has started 90 games together. I mean, literally, they have put this team together on a 3-year run up to this game for one game. They couldn't beat South Carolina in a 7-game series. They couldn't probably beat South Carolina in a 5-game series. They might not be able to beat them twice, but they can beat them once. They probably won't, but they've got enough. That's an experienced team. They've got the best player. They got a shot. South Carolina will probably win, but they got a shot. Scott, have a great trip. We'll talk to you next week. Have a safe journeys, and we'll talk to you next week when you get back.
Where are you talking to me from next week, Charlie?
Yes, you're going golfing. Yes, I understand. Okay, Jim Nance Jr. here. Jim Nance Jr. here. You're going to the Final Four this weekend, and then you're going to Augusta next week. We should all get to travel with you. That's right. Okay. All right. We'll see you next week from the Golf Wrap. Thanks.
Okay. All right, bye.
We'll take a break, come back, and wrap things up. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's Jitterbug Swamp Pop lessons coming tomorrow night. Mario's just about got his steps down. 1 or 2 more lessons. He's going to have it ready to go. That's at 6 for a little something different. And then DJ K-Jack at 7. Tomorrow, on Friday night, it's Alex Harbert on stage at 8 p.m. Hot ball crawfish every day at Big Mike's starting at 11 a.m. Monday nights, it's all you can eat boiled shrimp. Off-site catering available, but if you do want to rent out Big Mike's, multiple size party rooms for your private events, and 40 TVs to watch all of the games, the men's and the women's this weekend. Next week, watch the Masters, okay? Happy hour drink prices from 3 to 7 Monday through Friday and from 11 a.m. on Saturday. They are closed on Easter Sunday, a week from this Sunday, but in the meantime, head out to Big Mike's on Aspen Boulevard in Denham Springs. At Big Mike's, we're kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Jeep Gladiators and $8,000 off new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokees. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TD to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money.
So join us for Wednesday's AFR presented by Pluckers. Matt is back in the host chair. We're recapping LSU Grambling from the box and Pels Warriors from the Bay Area. It's Wednesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Pro Day over at LSU. One of the players that didn't get invited to the Combine had a really, really good day today. Shea Dixon from On3 posting this, that Jarek Bernard Converse ran a unofficial 4.32 and then a 4.4 flat and had a vertical of 42 inches, which would have been the third highest at the Combine. Good morning for him. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Infinity of Baton Rouge wants to buy your vehicles right off the street. That's right. In less than 15 minutes at Infinity of Baton Rouge, you can get a quote on how much your vehicle is worth. At that point, you can sell it outright. You can trade in on another model, or you can just have the information for you at a later time. Let me tell you about the certified pre-owned program at Infinity of Baton Rouge. So many wonderful options for you because it's going to be transparency in pricing. You tell them the price that you're comfortable with, the make and model, the age, the mileage. Know that those vehicles that are certified in the certified pre-owned program are going to have gone through a vigorous inspection, so much so that they are confident in them that they're going to put them into a 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. And your first year of maintenance is free. Courtesy roadside assistance on all your certified pre-owned vehicles and a courtesy vehicle when you do have your vehicle in for maintenance. That's why just about a month ago, we went in and purchased yet another vehicle from Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. It's something that's comfortable to us. I promise you, you're going to be satisfied with the sales and service there. The product is second to none. On Airline Highway, Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us. And LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience.